Welcome into 4 Down Territory. I'm Kyle Madson, the managing editor over at the Niners Wire. Joining me, as always, is the managing editor over at the Touchdown Wire, Doug Farrar. And my cat is back
Kyle,
here as
you have a
well. He'll
special
be
guest
making an
over there.
appearance. Yeah, there he is.
Sure.
Probably see
Hey,
him. He's right there. That's Stephen Purry, actually. That is his name. I have
Finally,
another cat.
The office manager is here. You better get to work now.
Yeah. No, we're going to be buttoned up today.
Yes.
My other cat is Patrick Willis.
Oh,
I got them very shortly after Patrick Willis retired, so it felt appropriate in the moment. Hey, the NFL draft is done.
Yes.
All the preparation, all the work is behind us now, and now we get to look forward. Teams have new guys. There were some really nice picks, a lot of reaches. Let's cover all of it, and let's start on the positive side. Yep. The draft is over. Let's put out these way too early draft grades. What's just kind of overall draft class, not necessarily specific player, just top to bottom draft class. Which team in your mind had the best draft overall?
Yes, we're going to grade all these picks now because, of course, they haven't done anything, and of course, draft grades are ridiculous. It's analysis in the moment. You're kind of evaluating,
right? No, of course, it's projection.
Kyle, I know we said this before on 4 Down Territory, but at some point the NFL is going to have to step in and investigate how Eagles general manager Howie Roseman keeps getting away with this because it's getting funny at this point. So they get Jalen Carter with the 9th overall pick, and that could be a franchise-defining selection if Carter is able to realize his full potential. Best player in the draft on tape, and then you got the other stuff. It's an acceptable risk, even if not. Basically, Roseman turned Trevor Penning into Jalen Carter with that 2022 draft from the Saints.
Outrageous.
He should be locked up. I mean, God. And then the Eagles got Nolan Smith, Carter's Georgia teammate, with the 30th pick. And I remember you and I saying, if they get Nolan Smith at 30, oh my God, and they did. Smith has no off-field dings whatsoever. He's like a coach on the field. He would have been a top 15 pick were he healthy all the way through the last season. And he reminds me of Hassan Reddick, who is now his edge bookend in those 5-man fronts under Sean Desai, as they were under Jonathan Gannon. Then they got Sidney Brown, who was my second-ranked safety behind Alabama's Brian Branch in the 3rd round. Georgia cornerback Calais Ringo in the 4th round. And Calais Ringo, I didn't like his tape. I know he's been working with Richard Sherman for the last couple months, so who better? Texas defensive end Moro Ojomo in the 7th round was a real interesting sleeper guy. He can play inside from like over the center to about 4-eye. So again, more reinforcements for those 5-man fronts. And you top it off the low ball trade for ex-Lions running back DeAndre Swift. Basically, if they let him go after this season, their compensatory pick will equal what they gave up for him.
Jeez.
How does he keep doing this? How?
I don't look. What? I'm going to plead with NFL teams now. When Howie Roseman calls, don't answer.
Hang up.
You're going to get fleeced.
Stop whining that Howie Roseman is getting too much credit. He's doing your job better than you are.
Right. The 29 teams passed on Nolan Smith, and Howie Roseman said, "Okay, fine, I'll take him."
He's not doing anything like extraordinary. He's just beating the casino, which you're not supposed to do, and he keeps doing it. So, yeah. Anyway, Kyle, I think we would both agree that was a great class. Give me 1 or 2 of yours.
Yeah, the Eagles are the winner for me. I really liked what the Ravens did.
Yep.
You get Zay Flowers, plug him into that offense and Todd Monken's offense. I think it's going to look a little bit different there in Baltimore, and I think Zay Flowers might have the chance to be the receiver Marquise Brown was supposed to be. Can
I interject? When I did my receiver rankings, he was my receiver 1 over Jackson Smith and Jigba because not only what he did on the field, but did you see their quarterbacks at Boston College? Woof. Now he's got Lamar Jackson throwing him footballs. It's going to be different.
I really like Zay Flowers. I really like him with Lamar Jackson. If they get on the same page in like scramble drills, the way that like Russell Wilson and Doug Baldwin did, it's going to be tough in the AFC North. Their second pick was one of my favorite players in the draft, Trenton Smith, the linebacker from Clemson.
Yep.
I'm a big believer that controlling the second level is key to being a good defense in the NFL. The Niners have Fred Warner and Dre Greenlaw. They do it as well as any team in the league, and that's why they've been one of the better defenses in the league over the last couple of years. I think Trenton Simpson next to Roquan Smith, that's a really, really nice linebacker tandem, a ton of athleticism there. They took Ole Miss defensive end Tavius Robinson. That's all tools. He's 6'6". He's got long arms. I love that bet. I think he's just going to be at least a good rotational player for a long time. So and then Andrew Voorhees in the 7th round. When he's healthy, he's going to start in the NFL. He's going to be a good starter in the NFL. And so they took a 7th round flyer. They're going to redshirt him, and he's going to play next year and probably start and play a ton of games for them. So I really like them.
Blew out his ACL at the combine. He would have been like a 3rd or 4th round pick if he was healthy. And he fits that offensive line because he likes to beat people up in the run game, and that's
he is mean. He is a mean offensive lineman. And then he had the famous 40 bench press reps or whatever it was with a torn ACL. Yeah. I'm just all in. I love the pick for the Ravens. I'm interested to get your thoughts on Seattle because I loved what Seattle did in the 1st round. Devon Witherspoon, really nice player. Love that for their secondary. You get Jackson Smith and Jigba, who work primarily out of the slot with DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett. Derek Hall from Auburn, the defensive end. Love it. But then there's the Pete Carroll pick. Zach Charbonnet, early 2nd round, mid-2nd round, I guess. Where do you land with the Seahawks? Because I thought they did a nice job, but that Charbonnet pick really stands out to me.
2nd year in a row, they've taken an undersized edge player. Yeah, last year it was Boye Mafe, and a running back. Last year it was Ken Walker, who was really good in the 2nd round. Derek Hall, I like a lot. He's a power pig, man. He will get his hands in your chest and ouch. Yeah. Charbonnet was my RB3 behind Bijan Robinson and Jahmyr Gibbs, and my comp for him was Marshawn Lynch. So I don't have a problem with it. I mean, we can talk all day about Seattle doing blah, blah, blah with running backs. It's what they're going to do. They want 4 on the roster. That's just who they are. We can talk about it being ridiculous or whatever. It's what they're going to do. The guy who is really interesting is the 2nd running back they took, Kenny McIntosh of Georgia in the 7th round. Mm-hmm. They want to expand their screen game, and neither Charbonnet nor Carter. I mean, Charbonnet can catch a screen, but if you want him on a release route, it's going to get ugly. Kenny McIntosh showed the ability to really get rolling, and I know Shane Waldron, their OC, wants to do that. Devin Witherspoon was, if you factor in Jalen Carter's off-field stuff, he was my top-ranked defensive player. Not defensive player. Man, this guy is an absolute monster.
He's a dog.
So I like that. Anthony Bradford from LSU. He's just a guard from LSU. Just wants to, run people over and all that. Oluwatimi, the center from Michigan in the 5th round. I hope I got even close to that. They went into this draft saying we have to get a center. John Michael Schmitz went in the 2nd round, who was my best center. This guy was good. Luke Whippler, though, went like in the 7th round to the Browns. Oh, he was my center too. But anyway, I think they did fine. I think they got a bunch of impact starters with upside, and that's what you want. So I'm fine with it.
The last one I want to mention here is the Colts.
Yeah.
And for the big thing off top is I loved the Anthony Richardson pick at 4. If you're going to bet on a quarterback, just bet big. Like bet on the high ceiling. I'm in. I loved it. I loved it for the Colts. And then they just got a bunch of like long, big athletes, and I'm in. Like, give me that all day. I love betting on upside in the draft.
Well, how happy is DC Gus Bradley right now? You have 3 cornerbacks: Julius Brents in the 2nd round, Darius Rush, very underrated in the 5th, and Jalen Jones from Texas A&M, who I liked in the 7th. So 3 big corners.
All guys I had at some point the Niners possibly targeting in the 3rd round.
So Island. It's just
yeah, Gus Bradley's gonna love that.
Fun.
So I just wanted to mention the Colts as well. I thought they did a really nice job. Let's jump to the negative side of this. Which NFL team had a draft that left you kind of like, what was that? What are they doing there? Maybe not so good of a draft.
Yeah, I kind of have to go with the Packers. And your thoughts about the Packers draft would have to start with how highly you value Iowa edge rusher Lucas Van Ness, who they took with the 13th overall pick. I thought good, not great. He was my edge 8, I believe. And it mystified me that they selected him with Will McDonald, Nolan Smith, and Miles Murphy still on the board. Georgia Tech's Keon White, who went to the Patriots with the 15th pick in the 2nd round, seemed to me to be an equivalent or better version of Van Ness as a hybrid-sized speed to power pass rusher who can win inside and outside. Michigan State receiver Jalen Reed, liked him. Good player. Didn't think he was quite up to the 50th overall pick, but okay. I mean, if he works out, he works out. You don't really care whether they're taken. I did love the selections of tight ends Luke Musgrave and Tucker Kraft, who those guys, Matt LaFleur is going to have all kinds of ridiculous 12 personnel stuff. And that's cool. That'll be fun. But just as you're coming around to this class, there's Green Bay picking Penn State quarterback Sean Clifford, who a lot of analysts deemed a UDFA in the 5th round. I mean, I know Will Levis couldn't beat him out at Penn State, but that, maybe that's why they took him. I don't know. The tape was not great. I just saw a lot of reaches there, and this is a franchise in transition in the post Aaron Rodgers era. You don't really know about Jordan Love yet. This is not the time to reach. Yeah. So that really, maybe Van Nester's into, because what I wrote about him is that with George Karlaftis last year, who the Chiefs took and turned into a good player in the NFL, I could be wrong, because the guys who were just sort of tight and not bendy and sort of hybrid sized, I usually see them not work out so well in the NFL. So maybe I'm wrong, but based on that pick and some other ones, I don't know. Just it didn't really it didn't move me. But that's just me. Kyle, what about you? I know where you're going with this, so it's time for a rant.
I want to just real quick. I want to go back to the Sean Clifford thing. Sean Clifford in the 5th, Stetson Bennett in the 4th. I blame Brock Purdy.
Oh, sure.
I think teams are now like, oh, we've figured out quarterback evaluation.
Oh, sure.
We're going to go get this guy who nobody thinks is good or turn him into a good quarterback.
It's getting, I know the NFL Network had a comp between Jake Haener and Joe Burrow. It's like, what are we doing here?
What?
Let's stop.
Okay.
Let's stop.
That's a lot. So I hesitated with this because I do Niners stuff. I'm managing editor at Niners Wire, and I feel like I kind of view the NFL world through Niners colored glasses, but their draft class was objectively weird. And
I'm up here in Seattle, and I write, overall NFL, and I agree with you. So
okay, good. So that's why so they didn't pick until 99, or that they weren't scheduled to pick until 99. So it was going to be really hard to put together like a really strong draft class. But we just talked about a bunch of teams who in the 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th rounds were finding like really nice players. The 49ers trade up to number 87 for Penn State safety Jair Brown. I actually like that.
Yeah.
I'm in there. Okay, Jair Brown. But then 99, they go kicker Jake Moody from Michigan. 101, they go tight end Cameron Latu from Alabama, who they probably might have been able to get in the 5th round. Like
not great tape. Not great tape.
Just a player. Like he's fine.
Yeah,
not somebody you want to go with at 101 is my thought. They go South Alabama cornerback, Darrell Luter, which Robert Beal, defensive end out of Georgia, like the worst Georgia defender in the draft. They wind up with in the 5th round. TCU linebacker D Winters, who I actually kind of like that. Oklahoma tight end Braden Willis, again, fine.
Michigan wide stuff.
Yeah, I think they're going to make him a fullback, but that's a different conversation. Michigan wide receiver Ronnie Bell, Purdue linebacker Jalen Graham. It's just like maybe it's the lack of draft capital, but this feels like and the Niners don't have like a ton of starting jobs open. So trying to find guys who add depth to the roster is great, but it looks like they actively tried to find backups. And that's the head scratching part to me.
Like Trent Baalke was still in charge, kind of.
Yeah. No, really. It was reminiscent of one of those Trent Baalke drafts where it's like, even if these guys hit their ceilings, you're looking at maybe a starter or two. And I get it, their roster's really good, but they're not going to be able to pay everybody forever. Yeah. At some point, you're going to need to restock the cupboard, and I don't feel like they did that.
I think Ronnie Bell, the receiver from Michigan, has some really good tape. He could be, he could get in there. I do love the Jake Moody story where he was. This is from the 49ers PR department. He was apparently once so jacked, to meet Matt Prater, his kicking hero in the Detroit pizza parlor, that he totally blew off Calvin Johnson, who was with Prater at the time.
Hilarious.
The kid was born to be a kicker, so we'll give him
that. Good. Well, more on that in a minute. Let's talk reaches. Speaking of the 49ers, give me one or two of your biggest reaches in the draft, like the guys that were just taken way too soon.
Not that the two guys the Lions took in the first round, Alabama running back Jahmyr Gibbs and Iowa linebacker Jack Campbell, are bad players. I would deem them to be borderline first-round talents. But they each play at fungible positions, and Detroit took Gibbs the 12th overall pick and Campbell with the 18th. I didn't think that Gibbs or Campbell were the best players in their draft at their positions.
Yeah.
In Detroit, we've heard all the stuff about, guys wanted Jahmyr Gibbs at like 5 or some ridiculous number. Like, no. It's like the guys who said, we would have taken Russell Wilson in the first round, but we were overruled. No, you weren't. Or Bill Polian once telling me we had a first-round grade on Tom Brady. No, you didn't.
No chance. No chance.
Stop saying things with your mouth. So in Detroit's case, you've got a 2-pick haul in the first round. This is your big, you're on the precipice.
Mm-hmm.
This is your time to go for it. And they take in guys who may not merit those picks. I mean, Campbell's a good linebacker. Jahmyr Gibbs is better than DeAndre Swift, but they have good linebackers. Right. They got a good linebacker last year. It's tough. I think they'll both be good players. It's just when you consider the whole, I guess, opportunity cost of it, it's tough for me to reconcile.
Yeah. It's not. I'm totally with you. If you take what they go 12 and 18, if those guys go 28 and 42,
I'm loving it.
Right. It's great.
And there's some who will say, well, it doesn't matter where they're picked because then they got Brian Branch in the second round, and I would have taken Brian Branch 12th. So Lions could justifiably say, hey, we don't care. We got the guys, and that's fine.
Right.
But you didn't plan for Brian Branch to be there in the middle of the second round.
Right.
You backed into a lottery, guys. So, let's go with the decision making and kind of wonder about that.
Yeah.
And Kyle, I know you have more thoughts about your reach here.
The 49ers took a kicker 99th overall.
Yes.
Like, I don't. Yes. And it's not, I have friends who are not in the Bay Area, not connected to the 49ers at all, who went to Michigan, and they swear by Jay. You should have heard Rich Eisen gushing about him on NFL Network.
Well, come on, Rich, where did he go?
Right. Big Michigan guy.
Yeah.
So every Michigan fan I know is like, this guy is cash money, but then you go look at his numbers and he's like 60% from beyond 40 yards. And he made some big kicks for them, and he made the 59-yarder against TCU, and he's got that leg, and he handled kickoffs, and like, that's great, but that's like every kicker.
Yeah. If
you're going to draft a kicker at 99, he needs to be hitting 99% of his kicks.
Yep.
From any distance.
Who's that dude the Buccaneers took a couple
Roberto Aguayo.
Yeah.
59th. Yeah. It was the earliest a kicker had been taken since then. And then you go see the Rams like signing the Lou Groza award winner in undrafted free agency.
Yep.
And it's baffling. I understand they needed a kicker. And if Jake Moody is really good and he's their kicker for 15 years and he makes a bunch of clutch kicks, then okay, fine. But if Kyle Shanahan thought that people raised hell when he missed on a 3rd-round running back, missing on a 3rd-round kicker is inexcusable. Well, that player needs to be great.
He's talking to Moody on the phone. I saw this video. I'm sure you've seen it too.
Yes.
And he's making jokes about it. Like,
yeah,
you might be getting a little too cute for your own good here.
Yeah, that's really what it feels like. I get they've had a ton of success. The front office gets the benefit of the doubt for now because they've been to the NFC Championship game 3 out of the last 4 years. That's great. But that is they had 2 top 100 picks and they used one on a kicker. If
he makes the game-winning kick in the Super Bowl, then we'll come back on Fort on territory and wear our dunce caps, and there you go.
100%. I will old takes expose myself.
There you go.
But until that point, this is not a good pick. And for me, the biggest reach of the draft.
It's a little weird.
Yeah.
Although, credit to the Patriots, first team to take a punter and a kicker in the draft since the 2000 Raiders.
Peak Belichick.
Yes.
Peak Belichick.
He just doesn't care.
Love it for him. Let's finish up here.
He's got his own little blesto on the side.
Oh yeah, he's operating in a different universe than everybody else.
Yes.
Let's finish up here. Who's your biggest sleeper in this class, or some of your biggest sleepers in this class? Just the guys that are going to way outperform where they were picked.
I could have gone with like 50 different guys because this draft, as I've said, it's more wide than it is tall. I mean, maybe you have 12 first-round talents grade-wise. Mm-hmm. But starting in the second round down to about the 6th is just ridiculous. On offense, I'll go with Iowa State receiver Xavier Hutchinson, who the Texans somehow stole with a 206th pick in the 6th round.
Wild.
I had a 3rd round grade on him at worst and easily thought of him as a top 10 receiver in this loaded class.
Man.
He doesn't have burner speed, but he's a big target at 6'2" and 203 pounds. And he'll create openings at the NFL level with route awareness. And he's got a neat nuance. He does really well with subtle push-offs and it's not like Michael Irvin. Right. But just a little elbow in there and use leverage to win contested catches battles before the battles even start. 107 catches last year on 161 targets for 1,171 yards, 6 touchdowns, kind of an offense. On passes of 20 or more air yards last year, he caught 9 on 19 targets for 234 yards and 2 touchdowns. Now C.J. Stroud, the guy with the best ball placement in this draft class, will be throwing him the ball, which should up his chances for excellence to an extreme degree. I'm not engaging in hyperbole when I say he might be the Texans' best receiver in 2023 right now. Low bar, I know, but he's really good. On defense, it's a personal favorite, and I like where he went because they have experience with guys like this. TCU cornerback Trey Hodges-Tomlinson, who the Rams got with the 182nd pick in the 6th round. And I will bang the table for this guy all day. If he was 6'2", 200, we'd have been talking about him right up there with Witherspoon and Christian Gonzalez and Joey Porter Jr. and all those guys. 5'8", 178, I don't care. One of the best deep cornerbacks in this class outside. That bombed his draft stock. I get it, but my NFL comparison is Antoine Winfield Sr. Remember him?
Yep.
Small guy, played for about 15 years, bunch of Pro Bowls and all that. In the Rams case, you could also compare him to Darius Williams, the 5'8", 187-pound undrafted free agent the Rams got out of UAB in 2018, who eventually turned into one of the team's best defenders. And as the kids say, Hodges-Tomlinson, he's got that dog in him. And
yeah, he does.
You have those few guys you watch where you're like, darn it, I am just going to pound the table. He was one of them. Just stood out to me. I think the Rams got an excellent pick there. Kyle, what about you?
Rams find a lot of guys like that.
They do.
They're just good at football. I think that gets lost in evaluation.
They're kind of like the top stuff is weird, and then you get into the 3rd round down. It's like, okay. Maybe that's where they just throw away all their 1st and 2nd round picks.
I'm going to start on defense since you ended there. I'll start there. Arkansas linebacker Drew Sanders went 67 to the Broncos.
Yep.
I thought he was like a fringe 1st round guy, and he falls all the way to 67. The key here for Denver, though, is like don't pigeonhole him as an off-ball linebacker.
No. Yeah.
You cannot. He's not going to be Micah Parsons. I'm not saying that, but the way the Cowboys kind of move Micah Parsons around, and I know he's more primarily an edge guy now, but Drew Sanders is a converted edge rusher. You can stand him up and he can get after the quarterback.
Well, he was an edge rusher at Alabama, and he transferred because you're not going to get on the field with him and Anderson and the other guys. Right.
I think he's just super versatile, and I think Denver, if they take advantage of that, he is going to be much better than the 67th pick. Playing him off the ball isn't like wrong or impossible or anything like that, but dude, let him get after the quarterback, especially.
I don't see Parsons either. My con for him was Connor Barwin, who played off the ball and then got a bunch of sacks off the edge. He's that kind of guy.
It's a great call. On offense, it's Texas A&M running back Devon Achane.
And he went exactly where he should have.
Yes. If he wasn't going to go to San Francisco, Miami's the spot.
Yep.
Because now, so it's not Kyle Shanahan's offense, but it's like Kyle Shanahan's most creative disciple and former run game coordinator. It's his offense. And that offense is speed. And now they have a running back in Devon Achane who can split out and catch passes and affect the game in ways that Raheem Mostert and Jeff Wilson Jr. and all the running backs they have, they don't quite impact the game the way Devon Achane does. I think he's going to be the player that they thought they were getting in Chase Edmonds. I love this landing spot for him. And if I'm going like long shot, like rookie of the year odds, I would love to take Achane because I think he's going to be a monster in that offense.
Well, he was like a legitimate Olympic level track athlete in high school and college. And some guys it doesn't show on the field. With him, it does. Yeah, he's and like we said, perfect spot for him.
He flies around. Just going to Miami raised his floor a lot and obviously raises his ceiling as well. So I love that pick. And I think he's going to be the poster child of why it wouldn't surprise me if in 4 years we're looking at like the Lions took Jahmyr Gibbs at 12 and the Dolphins took Devon Achane at 84. And that's why you wait to take a running back. That wouldn't surprise me if that's how that goes.
Not that Jahmyr Gibbs is bad. I think he's a fine player. He's Alvin Kamara Jr. There's nothing wrong with that, but it's just
good point. Yeah. That's going to do it for 4 Down Territory. Thanks so much, everybody, for watching, and we'll be back with you next week. Thanks, Doug.
Thank you.